Yo, everybody! Oh man, it's your boy Kenny. Man, we have craved that for so long. We've missed out on that. Oh, it's been too long. But we are back. We are back in action here. And we just completed our fantasy draft. So I wanted to do a little welcome to our 2026 Fantasy League. It is going on strong for many years now, and we are still we're still killing it out here. But we just completed our draft, and boy oh boy, first of all, this season's going to be a good year. I want to wish best of luck to everyone. Sorry we couldn't have our reigning champ on here. We had some technical difficulties, but that will be corrected for week one, so have no fear, people. All right. So, new year, new divisions, and really it's not like new divisions really just because like it's actually the same divisions that we had except Shane went over to the west and I want to say it was I want to say it was Ant or Nick that went over to the east. I don't remember who specifically. I'm feeling Ant. I think he went over to the east side, but yeah. So otherwise, it's really the same divisions, which is great. Um, and we probably could actually see that here. There it is. This is the 2025 division. So it was Ant. Okay, so it was actually Ant that went over. So Ant and Shane just literally did a swap, and then it's the same divisions. So that just leads to even a better year now. Um, yeah, we got some crazy divisions. We got our former our reigning champ here. Got a couple titles on each side. So we're going strong. Some people still searching for that first ring. Don't worry, it will come eventually. No, it won't. But um, anywho, so these are the teams. We have some new team names. There's Dan, Down syndrome. Yep. Looks like Corey switched his to Tailor Made, which makes sense. And everybody else is the same. I knew Trayvon was going to draft James Cook, so he didn't have to change his name. I know for a fact he wouldn't have. I just know it. So, yeah. And, yeah, so without further ado, let's take a look at our draft recap here. Um, yeah, this was definitely it was a good draft. Honestly, there really weren't many surprises in my opinion. I think everything kind of like fell the way it should have. Number one being taken was Jameer Gibbs, um, by Dan there. So that was our number one. And then I always like to look at the last pick, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the last pick of the draft was Brock Purdy, and he was also Mr. Irrelevant in real life. So like, is that like, was there a correlation there, or it just happened to get him? I don't know. But we'll take a look at the first couple rounds. Gibbs, Bijan, obviously they're interchangeable, so they could have went one or two really. So if whoever had since I had number two, I was just taking the other one. And then we had Chase at 3, JSN at 4, Puka at 5, um, Amon Ra 6, Jonathan Taylor 7, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Devon Acham, and our good friend McCaffrey. He went in the second round, but earlier though. Last year in the second round, or last, if we look at the 2025 season, McCaffrey was actually the fifth pick in the second round. And this year he was the second pick in the second round. So a little bit, and it kind of worked out for Vinny, and I'm interested to see, he definitely took him again. I mean, it's always injury risk, but I always say when McCaffrey's out on that field, boy oh boy, he is the greatest fantasy player on the planet. I'm just saying when he's healthy. Um, it's kind of crazy just looking like at the previous drafts and stuff, like who went one, people like Gibbs and Bijan 4 and 5, uh, it's pretty wild. Puka 10, you know, um, So it's pretty wild stuff. But and then Puka up here at five, moved up to five. So yeah. Um, so yeah, so that was the first round. Second round, pretty. Like I said, we went very running back heavy in the first two rounds, which obviously makes sense. Um, because there's only one starting running back for the team. Um, so yeah. So if I had to say who I think personally the sleeper pick of the draft, really, um, I really think a round nine Tucker Craft. Honestly, if you saw what Tucker Craft did before he got hurt, man, that guy was lighting it up for Jordan Love. That was Jordan Love's guy. Like whether or not he had Jaden Reed and all those guys, no, it was Tucker Craft. And I think a round nine Tucker Craft is that's pretty good to me. I think so. I like Tucker Craft. Um, you know, even like Kyle Pitts round seven. I mean, we know how Kyle Pitts was. He's always make the joke, but this is just worrisome about who's throwing him the ball. Um, but yeah, so I think that Tucker Craft on round nine is a sleeper. That is definitely someone. And the one here that I was a little annoyed at, Shane taking in round 14, Jordan Tyson. Well, you just saw the news. Chris Olave and started limping, was limping off the field or whatever, or during practice. So he's not 100%. So I mean, he's going to be okay by the time he comes back. But I just think that when this guy comes back, Shuck is gonna he's gonna be ready to play, and I'm wondering if they'll make Olave more of like a deeper threat, and then just kind of put Tyson in as kind of like the you know kind of like on the in the not maybe not the slot, but like crossing routes, things like that. So that's a very good pick. I was gonna take him. I was gonna take him, but yeah. Um, but overall, and then probably the one pick I was like, wow, really early, but Brandon Aubrey, round 11. That's probably the earliest thing I've seen a kicker take. Let's actually look at last year and see when Aubrey was taken, because I'm sure he was probably the first one. Um, if we look last year, let's see, where was Aubrey? Aubrey was probably. I wish we can like. I'm probably missing it too. Aubrey was taken. Well, Aubrey was taken round 13. There he was, round 13. So 2 rounds earlier, we had a kicker being taken. So that's really interesting. But I mean, listen, man, Aubrey is pretty much the best kicker in the NFL. So hopefully it works out for you there, Vinny. So overall, though, a really good draft. Like I said, there really weren't many shock picks besides probably that one, honestly. Um, but overall, it was a good draft. All right, so what I want to jump into, we got to give our top five. We gonna give our top five. All right. So starting with top five, we're gonna we'll start with our top five QBs here. All right. For me, number five is gonna be boop 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 Drake May. And it's definitely gonna be Drake May because first of all, he made the Super Bowl last year. Um and I know that they had a cupcake schedule, but that was without really like a true number one, if you think about it. They who did they have? They had Diggs and like now they have AJ Brown and Travion Henderson second year, Ramondre. They're going to be splitting the backfield, but you know just imagine now what Drake May can do with an AJ Brown. with an actual true wide receiver one on the team. It's been a while since the Patriots have had like a true wide receiver one. If you really think about it, they've had just like a complementary pieces and stuff. But I think with May getting that wide receiver one, he has the potential to be one of the top fantasy quarterbacks this year. And so, or will he have a slump this year? We don't really know. I mean, he's in his junior year, but it's his second full year of a starter. Last year was his first full year being a starter. Um, so we'll see what happens, but hopefully with the with AJ Brown coming to the field, we'll see what happens. That's really all you can do. Moving in at number 4, we have Caleb Williams. Now, number 4, Caleb Williams. So, reason I say Caleb, well, you saw that Bears offense last year. I mean, this guy, man, uh, overtime Hail Marys. I mean, like, Caleb was throwing the ball. Ben Johnson is the greatest thing that football has ever, like, the greatest thing in football. He has changed so many people. Think of the Lions, what they were before Ben Johnson. Oh, horrible, right? They went like 0-16 one year or something. So, like, you just got to put this guy on, like, I could see why they paid him the big bucks. Ben Johnson said they want to literally be the highest scoring team. They're going to put up numbers. So Caleb's just going to have to prove it. And they did good last year. Only thing is, they did lose DJ Moore to Buffalo. But that's okay, because then that just means that just the target share for DJ is just going to go between Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, and I believe Colston Loveland, who is going to be a top 5 tight end. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I think that it only goes up here for Caleb. I mean, he's shown that he could win big games and big moments, and I think it's gonna be a pretty good year for him. I mean, if you look here, like Williams' completion percentage, one of the worst in the league. His dual threat ability, has led to solid fantasy output. Though the thing is, he could use his legs, and if you can use your legs, that's what matters. Coming in at number 3, boop 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 boop, Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson getting up there in age, but I mean, they're healthy again. All right, with a healthy Ravens team, that could be very scary. Lamar Jackson, I just think last year became a lot more of a pocket passer, and he needs to continue to use that dual threat leg ability. Granted, they do have a Derrick Henry. Imagine having Derrick Henry. Like, dude, you have Derrick Henry, and the amount of plays you can do with him. Granted, he can't catch the ball. He's not a pass catcher. It's just not who Derrick Henry is. Um, you just sign Zay Flowers to a crazy extension. Unfortunately losing Isaiah Likely. I truly think Isaiah Likely was going to start over Mark Andrews if that's the case. But they got Mark Andrews. That's, we know who Mark Andrews was in the past. Obviously different now, but and yeah, so I just think that they just were not healthy, but this could be the year, the AFC North, that Lamar Jackson could definitely kind of hopefully goes back to his MVP years, and if he could go back to his MVP years, look out. They did lose John Harbaugh as their coach. John Harbaugh did go to the Giants, so not that we'll see what happens with that. Jesse Minter, it looks like, is their new coach, so that could play an effect, but I mean, don't disrespect a former MVP, man. Coming in at number 2, which may be a shock to some of you, but Matthew Stafford, our reigning MVP, by the way. Um, Man, those Rams. First of all, let's talk about the Rams team for a sec. Holy moly, that defense is disgusting. I mean, they brought in Myles Garrett. They're probably going to get Aaron Donald to come in, and this is one of those defenses, and we'll talk about when we look at the teams. You're going to want to hold on to this defense because this is going to be disgusting to play against. I'm just telling you that right now. But great for the Rams. Rams defense. But Matt Stafford, I mean, he's 38 years old, winning MVPs, having a fantastic season. Puka is just I biased. I'm not a fan of Puka. I don't personally like him. But can't disrespect greatness, man. And what he's doing for Puka is fantastic. So, look at this. So he was finished third place. He was number 3 in fantasy points. He's got Devontae Adams still there, that red zone threat, and this is why I hated Kyron Williams, because he always stole Kyron Williams 1-yard rushes. They somehow always get to the 1-yard line. I don't get it, but whatever. And I mean, listen, the guy it's a Hall of Fame career. All right, he's a future Hall of Famer, and he's going to finish off his career. This could be his last season for all we know. I mean, this is Aaron Rodgers' last season. Stafford might call it. One thing to worry about though about the Rams this year is Puka could be in due for like maybe a suspension for something that's happened in the past. So we'll see. I'm not sure what the league will do. Maybe a game. I don't know. There is rumors about it though. So he's just gonna sling the ball. I mean, he ain't gonna run. So he'll just be slinging the ball, and yeah, I just think that he could put up another type numbers, those MVP type numbers again. I mean, they didn't really lose anything, so we'll see. And coming in at number 1, probably not a shock to many of you, but it's Josh Allen. The guy's 30 years old, but I mean, listen, what Josh Allen has done in his career with the weapons he's had. Like, it is incredible. I mean, remember that playoff against the Chiefs when he would his wide receiver one was Keon Coleman, and you know what I'm saying, they had to make that rule about overtime. Like, the things that this guy can do. Like, he's a dual threat. He could run with his legs. He does his little. This is where we had this debate about the tush push and Josh Allen and whatever. But the guy's like 6 foot, whatever he is. So I mean, whatever. And now give Josh Allen. I'm not gonna say. I mean, he's got a number 1 receiver, DJ Moore. I'm not gonna say he's like, it's gonna make DJ Moore elite or anything, because DJ Moore is getting up there in age. But look at this. Allen's 21.4 fantasy points was actually his lowest since 2019, but he still led the position. Like, this guy can do it all. There are games where he'll have like 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, like in the same game. And he will carry this team. He puts this team on his back, and you got to give respect, man, and credit where credit's due. They still always come out with a great record, and I'm excited to see them play this year for sure. But former MVP, 2024 NFL MVP. So yeah, so that's your number 1, and no question, he was the first quarterback taken in round 3 by Dan. So makes total sense for that. All right, so let's move on to our running backs here. So, running backs. We're going to start with number 5. And number 5, we got James Cook the third. James Cook led the league in rushing last year. 1,621 touchdowns and yards per carry, 5.25. That was a great year for James Cook last year. and you know, it, him and Josh Allen. I remember coming into the league, man. It was we saw the potential, but then once he really got that opportunity, he took it and ran with it. Um, and I think honestly having DJ Moore is only going to help James Cook fantasy output just because, they would probably try to stop the run or anything like the defenses. Like they didn't really have receivers. I mean, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, whatever. But they're not like, they're not big names. So, um, I think James Cook is definitely going to have a decent year. I probably wouldn't put him at like a top 5 like he was last year. I'd probably put him as like just top 10, so maybe like between 5 and 10 if anything, just because of like, you know, who we got going on, like the different running backs we have this year. But he ended up sixth last year in fantasy points, like I said. So same as last year. He'll probably end up between the 5-10 mark again, just because Josh Allen likes to do a lot of things himself, his little pushes and stuff. So, but I mean, he's still an elite player, and he was drafted first pick in the second round. So coming in at number 4 though, boo 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 boo. Devon Achane, man, this guy is unreal. His coach just said we're gonna have to carry him off the field. He's gonna get 40 touches a game. Like insane stuff. Like I mean, literally, this is the offense though. Like if you're taking anybody from the Dolphins, it's literally only him. I mean, you literally physically cannot take anybody fantasy wise besides Achane. I mean, I just remember this guy. Like he kind of reminded me of like the explosiveness when Tony Pollard came into the league between like him and Zeke. They were like the dual threat. It was like Mostert and Achane. Mostert, when he finished like he was like top. Remember when he was like top 3 because he had like the most touchdowns in fantasy points. I remember I picked him up in the 6th round. I was happy about that. But I mean this guy. With how bad their team is, he is the one bright spot in their team, and that's why they didn't trade him. They're trying to build around him. I don't know. If I were him, he is in his prime age right now. I would truly try to get out of there. But you know what? If he's getting the big bucks, doesn't matter. Um, yeah. So I mean, who are they going to have at the helm? Maybe Quinn Ewers, Malik Willis. Actually, probably Malik Willis will be the guy. So definitely a better quarterback than he's had in the previous years. Um, so we'll see. But man, it's fun to watch this guy, dude. It really is. Coming in at number 3, though, and you're gonna be shocked about this one. Boo 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 boo. Bijan Robinson. Now you're probably thinking, what? Why is Bijan not 1 or 2? Well, I'll explain. So Bijan being number 3, here's the reason why. Well, let's look at who's throwing the ball to them. They got Tua and Tua Tard and Michael Penis. Okay, those are your two quarterbacks throwing the ball. So if I were a defense, who would I try to game plan against? Not those two guys. None of the receivers. Bijan. So all they really have to do is game plan to stop the run. Granted, I'm not saying Bijan's a bad player. Bijan is an amazing player. He's on my fantasy team. I hope he does well. I just think that the offense is definitely going to be a lot limited this year. Um, and this is why like he's very similar to the Achane situation, except he has a little bit of a better situation. That's why I put him above Achane. I'm not going to say that I was going to put Achane above. I'm just saying that's why he's above Achane. Um, and so I mean this guy can catch the ball too, which is nice. Prime age, he's 24 years old. This guy is. I'm telling you, once that Falcons team gets right, it's gonna be a matter of time before he's gonna probably win like an offensive player of the year. So still finishes top 5 among running backs and carries, rushing yards, touches, yards, and fantasy points the past 2 seasons. So the good thing about the Falcons being the NFC South, there's always a battle. There is always a battle in the NFC South between Um, the Bucks, Saints, Falcons are always like 8-8, and so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think he's still gonna have a great year, but I don't rank him in the top two. I really think you know that being on that offense is it's gonna limit him. I mean, he'll be the star of the show, but I just don't see it, man. I just think they're gonna be playing from behind way too much. So, all right, coming in at number two. Boo, 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 boo. CMC. And now you kind of find it funny with the questionable tag there. CMC. Now, I think CMC is the number two this year, and let me tell you why. And I said this before. When he is on the field and healthy, he is the best fantasy player in the world. He's been like that for over a decade or however long he's been in the league. It's been less than that, probably. It's always a risk, but man, did it pay off last year. He still was number one last year. I mean, it is crazy what this guy can do. Granted, it could be a little different this year. They did lose some pieces, but they also did this. So they gained Mike Evans. Brandon Ayuk is off trying to get on the Commanders, and I don't even know what he's doing, but that guy's done. Um, Juwan Jennings went to Minnesota. Kittle is still trying to get healthy and stuff. And unfortunately, McCaffrey right now has tightness, and unfortunately, really bad for Vinny. Last time that McCaffrey had tightness for the season, he was out for a couple weeks. Let's hope it's not anything serious. Um, but it's always a risk with this guy because of his age. But sometimes you got to gamble a little bit, and it'll pay off. I mean, this guy, you just know he does it all. I mean, that he is, and it's definitely the offense is definitely a lot better than I would say between the Falcons and the Dolphins. So, or the 49ers, the 49ers offense is way better than the Falcons and Dolphins. So, you got Brock Purdy at the helm, Kittle. Now they have Mike Evans. So, you know what this guy can do. He has no explanation needed. He's number two. Coming in at number one, though. Boop, 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 boop. Gibby! 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 Jahmyr Gibbs, number one. Like I said, I mean, this guy is. There's always a little concern with this one because if you looked last year at his stats, I mean, like, there are some things like 6, 9. Sometimes he could have that big boom game, that big bust game. Only because, and that's not his fault. They just have so many mouths to feed there in the Lions. You with Amon Ra, Laporta, Jamison Williams. I mean, Goff can't. Goff's got to feed everyone. Um, but with no David Montgomery in the mix, and all they have is Isaiah Pacheco, don't worry about it, man. Gibbs is going to get his worth. And they even said they're trying to use him like a bell cow back. If he gains a little more muscle, I think it'd put him at a bell cow. But yeah, he is another 24-year-old. Um, and I mean the Lions offense ain't going anywhere, man. They're still going to keep running that Ben Johnson scheme, even though he's not on the team anymore. And I just think that this is the best year for Gibbs. I actually have number one pick in my other fantasy draft. Yeah, ironically, I had 1 and 2 for my 2 leagues, and I'm taking Gibbs. So it's absolutely the number one choice, and he is. I mean, look at his projections. He's projected 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns. So, they're very high on him. Just have to make sure that that they don't try to use Pacheco like Montgomery. It's just not the same. Make Gibbs the guy, feature him. Good to go. It's going to be about mouth feeding. Some days, defense will lock up the pass and it'll be Gibbs. So we'll really have to see. All right. Now, coming in at our wide receiver mark, boop, 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 to number 5. Boop, 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 boop. Lamb chops. CD Lamb chops coming in at number 5. Um, well, we know how the Dallas offense is, man. Between Lambs, CD Lamb and Pickens, I mean they're a 1A 1B. Those guys are two wide receiver ones. But I am saying this right now. I believe that George Pickens will finish above CD Lamb. I think that Pickens this year, he is playing on a franchise tag, and he wants to show that he wants to be in Dallas. Don't know why we haven't paid him, but you know, but I mean, still, you know, history shows, Lamb is. I still think Lamb is Dak's guy. They it's Dak's guy. All right, for sure. Um, I just think that Pickens will have a better year than Lamb. It's kind of crazy. It's a hot take, but don't be surprised. But still, I mean, Lamb is he's finished. Look at this. His worst finish since 2021. He finished 12th. So you know, unfortunately though, his catching problem was an issue. But he is still an elite receiver up there. Still a top 10 pick. Um, I think he's got a way better situation than Justin Jefferson. And Drake London as well. So and Nico. So, you know, I don't like this picture by the way they used of him. I don't like that. But as long as you have Dak on the field slinging that ball, Lamb will get you top 5 numbers. Probably will be like he'll probably be around between. He'll definitely be top 10. So we'll just have to see. Coming in at number 4 though we have the sun god himself, Amon Ra, Saint Brown. I mean, he is obviously, like I said, a lot of mouths to feed in Detroit. This is Goff's guy, man. When this is the guy he looks to. You could even see the stats here. He had a career high target share, 31% target share, right to Amon Ra. 26-year-old, like I said, the only, Jameson Williams is more of a deep threat. Laporta's kind of going downhill a little bit, really. Maybe he'll have a better year this year, but um, this is definitely Amon Ra's team, and I just that offense in the Lions is crazy. Them putting up like 50, 60 points sometimes. It's insane. So gotta love a Sun God, and he's gonna have another top 20 fantasy campaign. Coming in at number 3 though, JSN. Now you're probably thinking, what? JSN? Well, no. So the reigning offensive player of the year, a breakout year last year, absolutely insane. Seattle winning the Super Bowl. Um, Sam Darnold slinging him the ball. Only thing I just worry is that, listen, it was his first. I mean, granted, it was one of his first opportunities to, um, really showcase himself, show off himself. I mean, like, they added Cooper Kupp and people were a little bit worried, but I wasn't going to be worried when they added Cooper Kupp. Also, Sam Darnold kind of coming into Seattle, like, what is that going to be like? So, I just think that it was his first breakout year. Now, can he repeat this? If he can kind of like consistently put up these types of numbers like he did last year, he'll easily move into the top 2 for sure. I mean, they won the Super Bowl for a reason, right? So I just think that he will be a top. He's a top 3 in my opinion for best fantasy wide receivers. And let's just see if he can just be consistent now. So yeah. Coming in at number 2. Chase. Jamar Chase. And this is why I was saying if JSN could do better, he'll move up past Chase. And the reason why I say that is Jamar Chase, we know who he is. Absolutely elite talent. Problem is that Joe Burrow gets sacked so many times that like three and outs like constantly offensive line. Even in the preseason game that they just had, Burrow got sacked like four times against backups. Like it's so bad. I mean, I was I'm still high. I think Joe Burrow will have a better year this year. I mean, listen, he has to. I mean, after that, I mean, look, he better have a good year. I mean, the last few years has been horrible for him. Um, you know, and you're kind of waiting. This guy's 26 years old, Jamar Chase. So, he's in his prime right now. Um, you know, and with Joe, look at that. Ready? So it says right here, with Joe Burrow missing 9 games, he went. His fantasy points dropped 4 points. So he still averaged 19. I'm not going to say that's horrible, but that's why I'm saying I'm putting him at number 2, just because it's just always a little worrisome when you have those issues on the line. So I think they really should just be correcting their line issues more than anything. Still got T. Higgins, and Gesicki, but that's no competition. I mean, if anything, Higgins will maybe have a game or two better than Chase, but that's because of coverage reasons. Um, so, but this guy gets targeted a lot, and you can even see it. 10, 9, 11, 16, 8. So he gets targeted. So it's not like they're not trying to throw him the ball. But so I have him at number 2. And coming in at number 1 here, I mean, it's definitely Puka. I can't be biased on this channel. I'm not a fan of him, but you got to respect how great this guy is. I mean, he came into the league, right, under Cooper Kupp with the Rams. Cooper Kupp, we know how Cooper Kupp used to be in fantasy. Absolutely fantastic. And you're probably like, okay, Puka had a good rookie season. It wasn't bad. Yeah, see, look, he was a 5th-round flyer. So he was taken in the 5th round. So, and, ever since he became like the guy, once Cooper Kupp started kind of declining and he became Stafford's guy, oh, it was fantastic. And he took an even bigger leap last year. We even saw he was taken 10th last year. Now he was taken, what, 5th? So, I mean, like, and I think he led the league in, first place finish last season. He was number 1 wide receiver last year. And so, he is, and look at these targets, 11, 10, 16, 11, 11. You got Stafford throwing you the ball, you're going to be getting 10 plus targets a game. Unfortunately, though, he is rumored to be potential discipline, to be suspended. Potential. We don't know. But we're just going to have to see how that kind of plays out. Granted, if he fell to me 5 or 6, would I take him? Yeah. I'm not going to let him drop any further. So, yeah. So he's my number 1. I think the Rams are going to have a better season. He might even he's going to be in the league running maybe like top 5 for yards, I'm thinking. So, good for Puka. Now, we're going to get into our top 5 tight ends who I am thinking here. Starting off at number 5. And Dallas Goedert at number 5. Now, you're probably thinking, huh? Well, have no fear. I'll explain why. So, with the Eagles losing A.J. Brown to the Patriots, you got Devontae and my boy Lemon. I'm going to keep saying my boy Lemon because he's my boy. Mekhi Lemon. Fortunately, Mekhi Lemon has yet to see the field. I don't know what's going on with him. Not even sure. The dude was like pissed when he got drafted, pretty much, so I don't think he even wants to be on the team. Doesn't even want to play football. Weird dude. Great player, but weird. So, because of that, Devontae, he's going to be, he's technically their wide receiver 1. I don't know how I feel about him. I mean, like, he's going to be good because he's going to be targeted, but, like, I really think that Goddard, has that, he's the safety blanket. and Hurts is going to need that safety blanket. So I think Goddard's actually going to have a way better year than in previous years. He'll have a lot more target share. Um, and he's finished 12th or better in points per game each of the past 7 seasons. So we'll see, man. He's had some big games, 25, 2 touchdowns. So he's had his game. So I think that Goddard's going to have definitely a way better year than people expect. So coming in at number 4, Tyler Warren. And you already know from last year's Kenny's Corner, I was so high on Tyler Warren to finish as a top 5. And what do you know? He finished 5th. Actually, I think he finished 4th. I think it was 4th last year. Um, and you know, he was already getting targeted with Michael Pittman. Now with no Michael Pittman and issues with Alec Pierce, Tyler Warren, the guy for sure. He will definitely have a big impact this year for the Colts and Danny Dimes. I mean, he's got to because they're gonna have to throw the ball to somebody, and he's the guy. So, um, you know, I think that Warren will definitely have a huge year. I still also just because how thin the tight end position is, and I think he'll be top 5 again. So Warren number 4. Coming in at number 3 though, Colston Loveland at number 3. I truly think this guy is going to have a breakout year. I'm also thinking probably thinking top 4 for Loveland. I know it's kind of crazy to think, but it's not at the same time. Towards the end of the season, he really spiked up. Really helped out the Bears there. With DJ Moore gone, you have Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, but I mean Loveland, look at this. So he was here. He ranked 8th or better among tight ends in yards per with DJ Morgan. He's 22 years old, young guy. He averaged 20 fantasy points in the final 4 games, including the playoffs. So the upside is absolutely there. And I'm holding cards of his. I have some autos of his that I'm holding because I think that he's going to have an amazing year this year. And Loveland can definitely finish in the top 4 easily for fantasy tight ends. So I'm expecting big things from Loveland this year. So we'll see what happens. Coming in at number 2 would be Trey McBride at number 2. I think that, we already know how Trey McBride is. It's kind of funny how he just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, we were like, oh, this guy, Trey McBride on the Cardinals getting a lot of targets. When Brissett was really slinging that ball 80 times a game, he was a big benefactor, especially with Marvin Harrison not being up to who he is. I truly think that Marvin Harrison, if he were to go to a different team, he would perform 10 times better. I don't know. He's a great player. But McBride, only reason having number 2 is because of the target share. Between Michael Wilson, who was breaking out towards the end of the year last year, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then now they have Jeremiah Love at running back. That's starting to get a little bit crowded there. You know what I mean with the room. Don't even worry though. I listen. He's gonna get his due. He's a red zone target fiend. Number 1 tight end. 17. He's finished 3rd in the NFL with 17 end zone targets. So, Brissett looks his way, man, in that end zone. So, yeah. So 26 years old, still in the prime of his career, and he's gonna have another top 2 campaign. But my number 1, Brock Bowers at number 1. Rookie Brock Bowers, we were all hyped for. Then injury happened, but he, with the departure, Jacoby Myers, everything. I have, that was a while ago. This is the guy. They have no receiver core. Their number one receiver is Trey Tucker. That is their number one receiver. So they literally don't have anybody at receiver. So Brock Bowers is going to be what Kelsey. He's going to be kind of be like the Kelsey of old, I think, because like with Mahomes and Kelsey, with Kelsey being kind of like the guy, I think that Bowers is going to scoop up, go to another level here. Um, you know, his rookie in 2024, he did 112 targets, 1,194 receiving yards. Um, I really think the Raiders should start Mendoza. That's just my opinion. I mean, I know they got Kirk, but I think you give Mendoza a try. I mean, the Raiders they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win anything, so they might as well just give the rookie some value reps. And he did good in the preseason, I think. Um, so I just think that Bowers is going to command. I literally think he'll command like 75% of the targets. Like it's literally him. I mean, he has no competition in any of the aspects. I think he's number one. That's why Trey McBride and Brock Bowers, you could really pick either or. You could say the Cardinals may have a little better of an offense, but I'm riding with the guy who will get every target. So for sure, Brock. So that is your top five. Uh, for QB, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. That is my player rankings for that. Um, Interesting takes. I know some of you might disagree, but you know what? It all comes down to who ends up winning this year. We'll see. But while we're at it, let's take a look at some of the teams that we got here. All right. So we'll start off on the east side here. We'll take a look at Ant's team because if we look at our um, if we take a look at the final standing projections, they have Ant at number one, which is you don't normally see that. Sorry, Ant, if you're watching this. Um, you don't normally see that. So let's take a look at Ant's team here. All right. Let's see who we got here. So this is Ant's squad that he drafted here. Got Hurts at the QB. We'll see, man. I mean, the Eagles last year were very scary of a team to like for fantasy wise. Nobody was. It was pretty bad. Nobody was really performing well. I mean, Hurts was okay. So we'll see how it is this year. Derrick Henry, you know my view on Derrick Henry. He's a beast, but he is getting up there in age, and I don't know how much they'll. I mean, he's not. I just don't think he's going to get like 30 plus touches a game. I think he's going to be in the 20s this year, maybe a little less. Um, he's getting old. So Javante, I love me some Javante. He revitalized his career with that Dallas offense. So that's a good. So I think considering Derrick Henry not really an RB, so he's kind of got like two RB2s right now, but he does have Puka. We already know Puka in my top five. Hopefully the suspension isn't too bad. Rashee Rice, he has no more suspension issues, so he will be the number one target for Patrick. Patrick Mahomes, they did just get Ken Walker at running back, so I'm curious to see, previously, if you noticed, it's been a while since the Chiefs have had a really solid running back. I think probably since like the Kareem Hunt, like early Kareem Hunt days and, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see like how much Mahomes passes the ball, and it's even Mahomes is even healthy at the time. He suffered his injury, so he may, they have Justin Fields as their backup. I'm sure they'll try to get Mahomes ready as much as possible, but we'll see. Harold Fannin, I do like Harold Fannin. Only problem is their QB situation, either Deshaun Watson or Shadur. I really think they need to go with Shadur. I mean, I know Watson hasn't played. That contract they gave him, that was probably one of the worst decisions I think in NFL history. That was unbelievable. They were buying a Texans Deshaun Watson. No. Um, well, I like Harold Fannin though. He's definitely probably him and KC Concepcion. I don't even know if Jerry Judy anymore. Those are like him and Judkins. I would just say are probably the two guys from the Browns that you would probably just only want. Scary Terry McLaurin. Um, you know, with they just added Stephon Diggs in there, and they're both like 30 plus. So, I do like Scary Terry. Have him on my dynasty league. He'll be Jaden Daniels' target, and we'll see what Washington can do. It was a little rough for them last year, but it's not a bad flex play for Scary Terry. Um, Lions defense, I know why he picked the Lions defense because they have the easiest schedule this year. They are the 32nd ranked schedule, so it is easy for them. So I see why he picked the Lions. And then Dicker the kicker, we already know how Dicker the kicker is. On the bench, he did get Cornell Tate, which is very nice. It's actually a pretty solid bench if you think about it. Cornell Tate, Rico Dowdle, who could, they're splitting with Jalen Warren, but see what he did in Carolina when he took over for Chuba. So he could easily, if he gets the opportunity, take over for the Steelers. Christian Watson, I wouldn't say there's really like a wide receiver one really in Green Bay. They're very, I guess if you wanted to say a guy, it's probably him or maybe Golden, but I don't know. It's iffy. Jacoby Myers, yeah, I mean, he's kind of had a decline, with BTJ being there, Parker Washington, that's kind of a loaded offense. So Jacoby's kind of best as like a wide receiver three. Blake Corum, very good handicap. He was actually a very good flex play last year, even with Kyron being healthy. So it's a very good handicap to have because he was utilized. Kincaid being the tight end one in Buffalo. For some reason, Josh Allen doesn't like to look at his tight ends. I'm not really sure why. You would think Kincaid would be higher, but they also have Dawson Knox, so we'll see. And Odell, I like the pick just for the New York Giants vibes. Kind of funny though. I'm curious how many people have him rostered. 3%. That's funny. Okay, it's probably one of his last picks, so that's okay. So it really is not a bad lineup, honestly. Um, it's really going to come down to that Puka, and he's definitely his depth is solid. I mean, he's got 4 guys that are projected 10 or more points, so it's definitely one of the better teams that Anna's drafted. So, I'm curious to see how it ends up for him, honestly. Um, yeah, but it's pretty solid all around. So we'll see. All right, well, let's move on to Dan's team here. Downs syndrome. God. All right. Um, so Dan had the number 1 pick this year. So starting off, Josh Allen. Can't really say anymore. I mean, he's gonna finish probably number 1 QB again. Gibbs again. There's really nothing to say about those two guys. Um, yeah, they're elite. They're it. ETN. Now, great news for ETN is that Kamara is going to be missing a month, but ETN is still going to take over. I mean, Kamara will probably be like a third down back, honestly. I picked him up. I drafted him in fantasy just because he was there in case ETN ever gets hurt, but looks like it was Kamara the one that got hurt. So ETN will have, and interesting to see a new offense with Tyler Shuck. With a lot of the injuries that New Orleans Saints are suffering right now, he may be relied on more than we think. So, new location. Let's see how ETN prevails. Egbuka, now the number 1 in Tampa Bay for Baker's offense. He does have that foot injury. They said he's not sure if he's ready to come. It could be turf toe, which would be very bad for Egbuka. That's a questionable one with him. They said they're unsure what if he's gonna be ready for the start of the season. We're not sure, but when he does put on the field, he's gonna be pretty good. We got Jalen Waddle. Waddle change of location from Miami to Denver for Bo Nix. I kind of like this move for the Broncos. Because it's always been Cortland Sutton, and then they had Jerry Jeudy before he got traded. So this kind of gives who's really going to be the guy that they look to. Waddle's obviously younger than Cortland Sutton, but Cortland Sutton's kind of always been the guy for Bo Nix. So we'll really kind of see who kind of takes over, or is it just going to be equal? There's really them two though. So wow, Dan's got a lot of Q's on his team already. Trey McBride, number two in my tight end rating. I mean, he's going to get his work. Um, he's got a little competition, but they trust him. DK Metcalf, Dan had him last year as well. Oh my gosh, look at the face on that. Jesus. Okay, sorry. That is wild. Wild look, DK. Okay. Um, DK Metcalf still the guy. They just added Michael Pittman, so this could hurt DK's value a little bit because they really didn't have anybody else. Aaron Rodgers last year, what will he do? We'll see. They got Mike McCarthy in the running the offense, head coach now. So that was a really crazy when Mike Tomlin got released. That was wild because they made the playoffs a lot with him. I know they really didn't get over the hump, but uh, that was pretty crazy. You're taking Mike McCarthy now, but he's with Aaron again. So you know what happened last time they were with Aaron. Broncos defense, great defense as always. Patrick Surtain. He got his boy Jason Myers again, that number one fantasy kicker last year. I don't blame him. It was fantastic. Let's take a look at his bench. Wan'Dale Robinson. He just went to Tennessee, and also gives Cam Ward some additional weapons. He's got Alec Gallimore, Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale. So Titans, I think they'll improve from last year, and so we'll kind of see what happens there. Dobbins, I think that R.J. Harvey takes over that backfield. I don't think Dobbins his days are numbered. Harvey killed it. Quentin Johnson, the last few years, the first few weeks of the last season, Quentin Johnson was killing it. And so with no Keenan Allen now, Keenan Allen going to the Colts, just boosts Quentin Johnson up. Kenny Gainwell, the backup to with no Rashad White leaving. Kenny Gainwell became the number two to Bucky. Josh Downs, unfortunately, with the Keenan Allen signing, this definitely hurts Josh Downs' value a lot. We saw the stats. I think it was the stats where Ladd McConkey, he was a top 12 wide receiver without Keenan Allen. Once Keenan Allen joined, he dropped down to like the 25th. It was pretty crazy, the difference. So definitely hurts Josh Downs' value. Brock Purdy and Tyrone Tracy there. So, if Ibuka can stay healthy, if he's able to play, that's pretty solid. Just the question marks are over DK and Jalen Waddle, so those will be answered throughout the season. Overall, though, I mean, he's got three of the top guys. Literally has the top two quarterback and running back, and top two tight ends. So three of his positions are set it and forget it. Actually, four. Jason Myers, even the kicker. So, almost half of his positions are set it and forget it. So. This could be. Will Dan get past that fourth overall mark? That's what we're gonna find out. All right, moving on to Nick's team here, Daniel Dones. All right, so starting off with Drake May. We know Drake May is number 5 in my top five QBs. With AJ Brown now, and look, he has AJ Brown. Look at that. That's going to be disgusting. That is gross. And with Jamar Chase, yeah, yep. Nick, this might be the year for you, man. And he's got Ken Walker. It's a question mark with the Chiefs. I mean, we know what Ken Walker, Super Bowl MVP. He went to Kansas City for some weird reason. I really wanted Ken Walker, so I'm annoyed, but he's only the question mark just because we know that historically Chiefs never had a running back, so how are they going to play with him? He's going to get his work. Oh, don't worry, he'll get his work. It's just a matter of how will he do it. Bucky, yeah, Bucks this year definitely not winning the division. I just think they've lost too many pieces, and it's just yeah. Devontae Laporta. Devontae, strong. Still, even though at his old age, that man can still catch some backside fades. Dan loves that backside fade. His favorite play. Um, you know, he will dominate that end zone share. That's why Kyron Williams owner. I'm sorry, you're gonna see it again. And then Laporta, I'm hoping good things for Laporta. He's been on a little bit of a down year, down couple years. Hopefully, some good things come his way. So I will say I do really like the AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Drake May. I'll even throw in Ken Walker though. So this is an interesting one. You better hope the Patriots are good this year, Nick, because you have that connection. That'll be massive. It's the first year connection. So we'll see. So we'll see. And taking a look at the bench here, Ferguson, um, very good tight end for Dallas. Tony Pollard, Cortland Sutton. I think Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. It is tough to know who's going to lead the backfield. I mean, their backfield really doesn't really matter. They need an upgrade in that. Sutton, like I said, between him and Waddle, we're not really sure who's going to be coming out on top. We'll find out. Maybe those will split it. Got the rookie KC. Depending on who's throwing the ball, that could be big. Rashad White, there he is. Coker. So, didn't get a backup QB, but that's okay. I mean, you have Drake May. You don't really need a backup QB, so that's okay. But bench, the bench, it's they need to prove themselves, but we'll see. And we need to see because we got KC in there. Tony Pollard will maybe Tony Pollard will be the Tony Pollard of old, and Cortland Sutton will show flashbacks. So we'll see. Overall, though, it's one of those ones. This has potential. This definitely has potential to be a good team. It's really going to come down to that Drake May AJ Brown combo because it's their first year. So we just really have to wait and see. All right, move on to the next team. We got Vinny here. Vinny at Vinny pick 8. Just how it is. Pick 8. Yeah, I think it's pick 8. All right, so starting off, T-Law. T-Law really hasn't been fantasy quarterback wise, not the greatest. Yeah, I mean, he's a good QB, just not the greatest QB for fantasy purposes. But maybe that'll change with no ETN, right? They got Tootin leading the way. We'll see. He took the risk on Christian McCaffrey. Let's hope it works out. Remember, he's got that tightness. We'll see. But if he's healthy, look out. Josh Jacobs, he's another guy that has potentially a suspension issues with Puka. So look out to see if he gets the suspended. We know CeeDee Lamb. He's in my top 5 for wide receiver. Garrett Wilson, I'm so low on Garrett Wilson because I'm just so low on the Jets. But I mean, Gino's got to throw to somebody. And it's pretty much just Garrett Wilson. So he's probably good for mid wide receiver 2 numbers. We'll see. Maybe Gino will surprise us and turn this Jets team around. I just so low on everybody on the Jets. Tyler Warren, top 5 tight end. I'm no worries about him. T. Higgins, a high wide receiver 2 because of the offense. But he's got that Rams defense. So the only thing with the Rams defense is you're not dropping that defense. So he's going to use no matter what a roster spot for that Rams defense. I think from last year with Dan having the number 1 defense and number 1 kicker with Seattle and Jason Myers, how many games did he win with that? Think about that. He had some of his point total, half of them were from his defense and kicker. So he's got pretty much the top 2. Should be top 2 this year. So, but we'll see. And then looking at the bench, a lot of Q's and outs on the bench. He's got Herbert on the bench. So between Herbert and Lawrence, Yeah, I guess probably T-Law for now. Um, but we got Debo, Charbonnet, who will come back and split work with Jadarian Price. George Kittle, I mean, he's out for now. I mean, we'll see. That's kind of nice having Warren and Kittle together. Bill, I'm not even calling him Bill. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, um, and then Michael Pittman. We'll see how he works with DK. I think this could be a good. Um, wow, He changed his picture. Michael Pittman this year. Maybe with DK getting double, this could really help him. So, if I'm to give my honest opinion, I wouldn't give this my best draft. I'm not. I'm just. I don't know. I just don't think that this is going to be a good Vinny year this year. And you know what? You could shut me up, but I just don't think this team has it. You know, he's just got too many too many like question marks here. Q's outs. A lot of people that are out already. Um, we don't know about McCaffrey's consulting Josh Jacobs. So this is definitely one of Vinny's weaker drafts. I don't see him making playoffs. I'm just going to be honest. So, all right. Moving on to the next, we did. Let's talk about Corey's team here. All right. Corey's squad here. We got um, Lambjack. Where you know how Lamar Jackson is, my top five QBs. I think this is finally the year. I mean, this is pretty much Lambjack's last year to prove that he's still has his stuff. He'll be 30 years old, next year, so it's gonna be tough. Um, Jonathan Taylor, I'm actually down on Jonathan Taylor this year, just because I really think that this year defenses will try to game plan against him more. Granted, he did just sign his extension. Good for him, but I'm just pretty down on Jonathan Taylor this year. Chase Brown, though, I'm a little up on for sure. I think that, if there's any going to be any, if Burrow ain't going to do anything, Chase Brown will. So I like Chase Brown. Devontae, he's the true number one right now. We'll see. Zay Flowers signed a massive extension. He's got the Lamb Jack and Zay Flowers duo, so this could work out in his favor. We like it. I love how everyone's kind of going with that strat now, the QB wide receiver strat. Gets a touchdown, it's mad points. My sleeper pick, Tucker Kraft, man. I'm telling you right now, if this guy is healthy, look out. Man, this is the guy that Jordan Love looked to. I'm really big on Tucker Kraft. If he's healthy, he could probably finish in the top five. Seriously, not even kidding. Um, I'm really like Tucker Kraft. Tootin, this will be his first year, running the ball. Um, he was Corey's very high on Tootin, and he's a great player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. Um, just gonna have to see what will he do. Texans defense, number two defense last year, very good. Parker Washington, that's a great one. They're saying he's like the wide receiver one this year. Great breakout candidate. Michael Wilson. We know how he was last year. Towards the end, broke out. So again, we're just gonna really have to see, you know, that target share. Couple different rookies here. Stribling. Stribling is a decent one because he caught two touchdowns. Um, and with Mike Evans not being fully healthy, he could easily, if Mike Evans gets hurt, which he probably will, he is going to take over as number one wide receiver. So I do like this pick, Stribling. Um, Keaton Mitchell, I mean, they're only picking, they're going to ride the hot hand. Yeah. And Jacoby Lane, yeah. His eyebrows are wild. Look at his eyebrows. Crazy. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I overall, it's definitely a solid team from Corey for sure. I want to rate it like a B plus and stuff. I'll give the grades to the other ones since I'm giving grades out now. Let me give grades for yeah, Dan's team. I am definitely giving like an A minus for sure. Um, no doubt about that. He's got four of the top. I mean, only thing is those Qs. Gotta worry about those, but he's used to seeing that anyway. Who did I did? Did I do? I didn't do Nick's team, right? Nick's team here. Um, yeah, Nick's team. This is gonna be a tough team to face, man. This is a solid team. I definitely want to give this an A. Nick's gonna be very happy about his A because last time he was fighting me for a B plus, but I like this. It's a very good team. Um, yeah, that Drake May AJ Brown one's gonna be interesting to see. Um, but if he didn't have Jamar Chase, this would be pretty low. But it's having Chase really helps. So, and then Ant's team here. Um, you know, I'm really giving this a B. This is going to be a B for me, only because he's got a good bench. Otherwise, this thing would have been like a B minus in my opinion. But he got a B, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Um, yeah. Um, okay. Moving on to let's take a look at my squad here. Um, so this is my squad. This is Dart QB. He's uh, you know dual threat. So we'll kind of see what happens there. We got Bijan, number 2 overall pick. Jeremiah Love, rookie. I always try to avoid the rookies, like the high rookies, but you know, there was a stat that Shane pointed out during the stream that said, uh, right here it says, the past 9 running backs drafted in the top 12 went on to finish top 12 in fantasy points as a rookie. So we'll see. Nico Collins, still wide receiver 1 on the back end of his career, but still the wide receiver 1 in Houston. Hopefully that offense can do some things. Lad McConkey as well. Brock Bowers, tight end. Pretty much my number 1 tight end. Swift with Kyle Monangai out for multiple weeks because of a hyperextended knee. Swift is going to be the guy in that high-powered offense. And then we got some guys on the bench here. I won't toot my own horn here, so but yeah, I just wanted to show off the squad. Stafford as the QB, backup QB. So yeah, I like my squad, but I ain't gonna give myself a grade because you know what I would give. All right, let's move on to the Bubble Bass, our reigning champ here. Our reigning champ. Got Caleb Williams, top five QB in my top 5 list. Marion Hampton, always Hampton's scary. Really because he's coming back from injury, but I don't know. I feel like what Mike McDaniel said really is ridiculous. That they're going to ride the hot hand, sorry, fantasy managers. Are you kidding me? So you're telling me that if you are in a one-score game and Keaton Mitchell has 100 yards and you're going to use him over Hampton? Come on, stop it. Stop it right now. Kyron, good luck with Kyron. I hate that guy so much. You have fun with him. He'll probably be traded from your team. JSN, top 5 wide receiver. He doesn't need any type of introduction. If he can be consistent, top 2. Pickens, I love the Pickens pick because he's going to finish above CD. I am calling it right now. Pickens will finish above CD. Colston Loveland, top 5 tight end. I think he's going to just have an amazing year this year. Jadarian Price, so he will be probably the running back until Charbonnet comes back. I think after that, though, there's going to be a split candidate. I mean, unless to the point where he completely just takes over, but I think that they'll split the work. And looking at the bench, Jalen Warren, he's got currently the starting running back for Pittsburgh. Diggs, Jonathan Brooks, who could easily take over for Chuba. He's got Lemon, that guy. And he did pick up Keenan Allen. Okay. You know what? Why not, right? So, if I have to give a grade here for you, BMAC, I would probably I'll give you an A minus. I like the A minus, but strive for that A plus. I like the A minus. You have some, it's a great team. But, I think once if Jadarian Price, I guess you could just throw in Warren. Yeah, just wondering, if Jadarian Price gets that work split, what would happen? So we'll see. Everybody else though is starter caliber. So our reigning champ. There you go, A minus. All right, Tybo. Swift and Flicker. All right, so I think you had a couple guys drafted auto pick. I don't know, but Dak at QB. Well, we know that was number one offense. That's a pretty good QB pick. Genti, he's very high this year. I mean, look at 20 points per game he's projected against Miami. Um, I don't know. I just like that Raiders offense, man. If Genti needs to get going, then this is it. Brees Hall, who has a groin injury, he'll be ready for season 1, week 1. That Jets offense, I just stay away from. I can't with the Jets offense. Jettas, that's your guy, man. Will Kyler Murray do it? Drake London, Tua Tard, Michael Penis. We'll see what happens. And Kyle Pitts. So I guess, you know what? That's not a terrible. He's got both Pitts and London. So I'm thinking that, with Pitts and London, that's pretty much the main offense. So if they're going to throw anybody the ball, it's one of them two. So we'll see. They're obviously going to be a little bit down than last year. Roma Dunze, I'm so low on. I think Luther Burden and Loveland are the guys. Even though Rome's the wide receiver 1, whatever. So Jaden Daniels is a backup. I like it. Ramondre and he's got Marv Harrison Jr. So definitely a solid bench with Dallas Goedert being my number 5 tight end. So I do like Tybo's bench. He has pretty decent depth. So it's just a matter of those question marks with Brees Hall, and if the Falcons can somehow get down the field, Tybo's team could. This is one of those ones that has a lot of potential. Depending on their situation, we'll see. If Atlanta does very well, this is a very good team. He's got some decent depth. I really like this team. Actually, I do like it a lot. I will give this team currently a B plus. I will give it a B plus, and this could change by the end of the season for all we know. But this one, it's got a lot of potential. I like it. Very good draft, Tabo. This could be your year. All right, for the love of Don Cheadle. All right, here we go. Shane, Jared Goff, QB. He slings them about. You know what? He has Goff and St. Brown. That's all that matters. Goff and St. Brown, man. That's fine to have Goff as your QB then. Saquon, this is it. I think this is Saquon's last year before. Where do we draft Saquon this year? 15th overall. I'm going to tell you right now, if Saquon has a down year, he will be drafted probably like in the 3rd or 4th round next year if he has a down year again. Scat, if this guy can just stop, doing backflips on stage and stuff and stay healthy, this guy's going to be fantastic. Neighbors, when he comes back, darts guy. Kelsey, this might be the last hurrah for Kelsey. You know me. I love a Kelsey. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey, my guy. So, mad respect to Kelsey. Judkins, probably the only bright spot right now for that Cleveland offense. Bench, though, very, very good bench. Wow. Holy moly, able to get Mahomes. This is one of the greater benches. This is one of the best benches I think I've seen. All these guys are starters. Literally. All these guys are starting caliber. This is absolutely amazing of a bench. Luther Burden, Travion Henderson, BTJ, Mahomes, Likely, Harvey, and then when Tyson comes back, yeah, man, this is a team to look out for right now. Only question marks you have are Saquon. Can he just be that guy? And, Goff, he'll get you. Goff pretty much has to throw, You're not going to use his legs. He's just going to have to just start slinging that ball. So the only worry is if he uses Gibbs too much. But I like that bench though, man. That is definitely probably the best bench we've got on this squad on this team for sure. Or not in this team, but like in this league. So this is fantastic. Um, and he's got Mahomes and Kelsey if needed. So like this is a very good draft from Shane. Overall I'm going to give this an A. I mean, assuming everything falls into place, this is a playoff caliber team. Absolutely. So I like this. This is a great draft by you, Shane. Very nice. The fact that you have starters on both ends here, yeah, that's look out. Look out, Tybo. You're playing him first week. And then we got Trayvon here. Last but not least. Well, it was the last pick of the draft, so yeah. Well, the last of the first round. He was the 10th pick. Achan, James Cook, set it, forget it. But they're two of my top five. Joe Burrow. I don't like that guy, man. He just gets sacked too much. I was actually debating on drafting him. I'm very happy I got Dart instead. Ted McMillan. I think Bryce. This is the Panthers keep going up. So they keep going up, up, up. I think this is a good year for Tet. So we'll see what Bryce can do with him. Olave. He was limping, but I think he's gonna be okay. But with no Tyson, this really helps Olave. Absolutely. T.J. Hawkinson. Yeah, not it for me. Just low on Hawk this year. Jameson Williams, very good deep threat. Goff will sling that ball to him. Seahawks defense, number 1 last year. Bucker. Let's look at his bench here. All right. Got a solid bench here. We got Reed, DJ Moore, David Montgomery. So DJ Moore, David Montgomery, Matthew Golden. Those are really good. David Montgomery's gonna be the starter. Moore, wide receiver 1. He definitely, like, matchup wise, he could switch probably Jameson out and DJ Moore out. So we'll kind of see how smart he benched him for against Houston. Very good bench. Aaron Jones Sr., I think Jordan Mason's taking over that backfield. And Manunga is going to be out. They said he's going to be ready to return September 13th. So that's they're questionable for, but we'll see. I think I'm going to give this, though, a B-, only because I like your running backs. But this is a B-. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's a B-. It's definitely one of the weaker ones. Like, you and Vinny probably have one of the weaker drafts. Listen, man, I'm giving you what I think. All right, man. You can think what you want, but this is just how it is. So overall, everyone, good drafts for everyone. Um, you know, Best of luck to you guys. This is the preseason. Um, this is just the draft ranking, draft recap. We will have, once week 1 hits around, we will have our week 1. I'll make sure to get our guest appearance then. But without further ado, that will do it for this episode of Kenny's Corner. I know you're really excited, and I'm really excited. Let's have a great season. Best of luck to everyone. And guys, we will see you next time. Peace!